ICE has been in Minneapolis for quite some time now, mostly targeting Somali immigrants. I'm sure targeting whatever Latinos are also there as well. And a lot of the people in Minneapolis have been standing up for these people. Minneapolis has actually been known for a decent amount of activism in the past as well, too. So it doesn't surprise me that they've been putting up a fight. And basically, ICE deployed themselves to a certain neighborhood to search for people, and they were taking some of these American citizens' neighbors. And so these neighbors stepped in, and one of them, I believe, is the woman in the maroon car, Miss Renee Good. She was blocking the road. Now, if you see a lot of ICE videos and reactions to ICE taking people, you'll see a lot of passive resistance, is what people call it. Stuff like blocking with your car, or even something as simple as taking your phone out and just filming. This woman was essentially doing both. She had her phone out, she was also filming, and that's not something that really has been an issue until now. Basically, her and the ICE agents got into some sort of turf war, they wanted to go by. She wasn't letting them by. Eventually, she decides to let them do what they do. They surround her car, and you know what? I think this is much easier to explain if we let an eyewitness who was there during the shooting as well to depict what happens before we show the video.
Two people in fatigues, ICE agents, presumably. One was by the passenger side of the vehicle, one was by the driver's side of the vehicle. And there was a handful of black and white SUVs, license plates on some of them, front license plates removed, parked sort of kittywampus in the street. And I watched as a third person in full camo come and pull several times on the door handle, at which point the red vehicle reversed a few feet and started driving around, and the person who was by the driver's side originally, not the man who pulled on the door, but who was originally there, shot through the driver's side window 3 times, and the car drove down the street a little bit more and then swerved into a car and then ultimately a telephone pole.
Okay.
Just awful, and this is essentially what I was summarizing, but I felt it was better to have somebody who was physically there, because if you've noticed online, there has been a lot of discourse, mostly by bots. I feel like you can very, very clearly tell that there are a lot of bot accounts on Meta right now, playing devil's advocate and basically saying that this woman ran over somebody, that she was revving her engine, that she turned her car into a weapon. And as far as I've seen, and as far as this man eventually claims, none of that is true. And so I just think it's very important to not just speculate about what happened, but to also get the right answers from the people who are physically there. So he continues a little bit.
I think that's really all, because I'm not trying to get you to comment on that. You just saw this. Did you see an ambulance come? Did you?
An ambulance came a few minutes later. There was some delay getting the ambulance to the vehicle because of the number of ICE vehicles in the street, and sort of they slowly moved there.
And that's another thing too. ICE, when they take over these streets, they usually form some form of blockade as well too, which made it a little bit more difficult for aid to get to the woman who they hit in the face. Let's say that.
SUVs and trucks out of the way. Somebody wearing a camo and a vest that just said police, I think they're ICE, but no identification. Grabbed an orange sort of OtterBox style case and ran up to the vehicle, and they pulled the person out and onto the boulevard before the ambulance got there.
When you saw it happen, was that vehicle still moving? Was it at all going towards an agent at that point? Or?
So the agents had been on either side, so they just backed up a few feet and then drove forward again. Somebody else said that the vehicle had been stuck in the snow a little bit, so They weren't driving at a person with any intention of hitting them. They were driving between.
And that's, I think, the most important thing as well, too, because this is the leg that a lot of these people want to stand on, is the fact that they were being attacked. This woman turned her car into a weapon. It was no longer a vehicle for her to escape. It was something she was using to be the aggressor. And it just simply is not true. But not only that, I want you guys to kind of see, this video and determine for yourselves, because I'm sitting there, just watching this stuff clear as day, but then to watch people online pretend they don't see what everyone is seeing was very, very frustrating. And it just shows the state that this country is in and where we are going right now, where people are so deep in propaganda that they don't even believe their own eyes. It's bad, man. So let's take a look at the video. So this is the car, the ICE car, coming up to the maroon one right here. Renee Good. No! She's clearly driving away. Hold on, let's see as well too. So you see, she backed up. We're gonna bring it a little bit further back here. So you see, the wheels are turned this way, but she clearly uses that to back up so she can go toward her right. And at this time, yes, there is an ICE agent around here. So he's near the right side of the hood. You can't even see him, right? So we're just gonna go by here. Obviously, she pivoted enough to be able to turn right. This man is now on the left side. He is in front of her, but almost on the left side of her headlight. You can see his leg right here. And because of the position that she's in, you know she's going to be turning away from this man. So let's see.
Oh, shame! Shame! Oh my fucking God! What the fuck?
So you see it clear as day. As she is turning away, as she's driving away, as he has not been injured in any single way, shape, or form, he still decided to fire his firearm, aimed at her, and it hit her. I truly don't understand how people simply do not get what happened or are lying to themselves based off what happened. And it's crazy. I'm going to put this again so you can just watch it uninterrupted, because I should have played it uninterrupted and then talked about it. That's my fault. I'm just so fucking annoyed with this shit. I'm not going to lie to you. It kind of kills me.
No!
Grabs the door handle.
No! Shame! Shame!
Turns away from him, still gets shot. This woman is gone.
What the fuck?
And now there's chaos in the streets. These people were originally fighting for their neighbors to be safe, and now one of their neighbors is dead. And what's even worse about it is this neighbor wasn't even somebody whose citizenship was in question. They were just somebody who was fighting for due process for their neighbors in Minneapolis. And the way people can see something like this and simply decide that they don't want to believe it, I think is what's so dangerous about where we are right now in America. America has always been a place that, is dependent on marketing, right? Being likable, celebrity, fame. We've always loved that. And, even as somebody as a comedian, that's something that I fell in love with too, to a certain extent, right? I like being seen, but it's a trap. It's a trap. It's a black hole. It's a never-ending pit that you get into when you have a country where the foundation of the country is something like that, because fame and recognition can always be molded, right? Especially, the way that the world is going now with TikTok, with AI, right? You can propagandize anybody. You have all these young kids who are, sad, they're alone, they're scared about what the future may hold. The job market isn't what it used to be, right? Dating is different. People are called different things, and it's very, very intimidating. And these people use the media, they use fear to propagandize young, vulnerable people like that. And the fact that it's gotten so bad that someone can literally watch a video like this and talk about how she hit the guy is crazy. And I mean, I hate, blaming everything on Donald Trump, but it really is true. I think it's just the callousness of his behavior that makes this stuff normal. It was funny when you could see, someone on SNL doing an impression of him, right? But this is where that type of stuff leads you. This is where the humor of these people, if you can call it that, actually leads you. I want to make a sketch. I'll probably shoot it in the next few days, where it's like POV. I'm the guy who does the haha button on all Facebook posts. Like, have you ever seen that where there's a guy on on Facebook posts, right? And it'll be the most serious thing. It'll be a video like this, or someone talking about slavery, right? And it's a heart, it's a like, maybe an O, like wow, and then just a laughing emoji. And every time somebody's putting the most vulnerable part of their lives up for people, there's someone doing a laughing emoji. And, obviously trolls have existed forever, right? I'm the kid who graduated in 2009. I know about trolls. We were there from the beginning, right? I was there in the Facebook era, Twitter, all that shit. I understand what trolls are. This is different. Trolling was essentially being like, hey, I'm a normal person, but I just go on the computer and I just like shit on people. This is a lot of people's actual true beliefs, and they're laughing in the face of your pain with it. But they put it in this weird form where it just seems like it's trolling, and if you're upset by it, then, you're the problem. And so what it does is, in defense of stuff, instead of getting angry, you just get apathetic. And really, that's their main goal, is for you to be apathetic to everything you see, to everything you hear, so you can be as empty and as angry as they are. And it's truly disgusting. I mean, we can even read this whole thing by Donald Trump right here. It says, I've just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was a horrible thing to watch. At least that's one truth right there. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. And this is what they do as well, too. They drop little things like professional, paid, right? So that any form of a real reaction to something that is truly devastating seems like performance, right? And so you're the one being disingenuous, not me. Me watching it and laughing at it, or me just simply watching it and being apathetic, that's real because it didn't happen to you. So why do you care? The fact that you care means you're fake because you want people to see you care. Why do you want people to see you care? What, do you want to be famous? What, are you trying to make money? What's wrong with you? And this is these little seeds that they use to kind of help grow whatever apathy or discontent they can for more leftist values. So this woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. We both saw the video. We all saw the video. That is not what happened. Who seems to have shot her in self-defense. That is not what happened either. She was driving away. He still shot her again. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he's alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. Recovering from what? He was fine. He was still walking. He didn't even look like he got hit at all. The situation is being studied in its entirety. Well, the entirety is right there. You should have just known. But the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They are trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left movement of violence and hate. All right, so just like I said, not only is she paid, but she's a radical leftist. So which one is she? Is she a radical leftist who is upset by these things and is disrupting things? Or is she being paid to agitate everybody and get them, radicalized? Which one? Because you're saying it this way as if they're trying to, they have at least some sort of integrity. They just believe the wrong thing. And now you need to find the people who believe the wrong thing. But you say it up here like it's a quick grift and it can be changed at any time. And this is kind of how they do things. They control the point of view by doing shit like this and kind of making everyone seem disingenuous around them. If you're not laughing, if you're not happy for what's going on, then you're the one who's fake. You're the one who's stirring up trouble. And it's truly bad, man. And I don't know. I think the left is gaining more steam though as well too. And I think that's one of the interesting parts, because the thing about Donald Trump and even MAGA and all this stuff, which I personally don't even really like talking about, especially Trump in particular. I like talking about policies and everything, but not necessarily him as a guy. But the thing that I think he's not realizing, and a lot of MAGA people are not realizing, is that a lot of the people that voted for Donald Trump were like first time Donald Trump voters who just wanted something different. A lot of them were on the fence, and Kamala was not a good choice, but she wasn't. And so they chose him. They just simply have certain wants and needs, right? They need to feed their children. They want cheaper groceries. They want better wages. The economy needs to get better for their future. Very, very simple things. Anybody that's promising that type of stuff and has some sort of vibe with them, not really policies, but a vibe, they will follow, but they didn't sign up for this. They might have cared about you getting rid of the immigrants. They might have not cared about you getting rid of the immigrants. But one thing they do care about is seeing people who they can see as their neighbors, their friends, their cousins, getting ripped out of cars, getting pulled out of work, right? Or getting attacked and fired at by ICE agents in the head. These are things that they care about, because they see that and they're like, whoa, how does this give us cheaper groceries? How does this lower gas? How does this even really take care of crime? You said you were going to get rid of the immigrants, right? But you said the immigrants who had criminal records, you could find them and you would get them out. And now all you're doing is finding immigrants who are working hard, and you're chasing them instead of the criminals. And my life has not gotten better. That's another thing too. If people's lives would have gotten better in between all this stuff, I think people would be a lot more open to it, no matter how brutal it is, because that's just simple human nature. If your itch is being scratched, then every other issue doesn't really matter, right? But now everyone's got an itch, none of it's being scratched, and this guy's running around still trying to, tell you that you're okay and that you're feeling the best and most relieved you've ever been in your entire life. And it's just bullshit. Not only do they have the video, they also have a picture of this guy as well. I believe they have one without his mask too. They also got the license plate number of the car, but it gets even crazier, man. This is one of the eyewitnesses who was there. It's video taken by them. The woman's name is Emily Heller. She's shown in front of agents, and she's getting denied by ICE agents, even though the person with her is an active physician who could help the woman who is injured. ICE currently, called for a medic, but the medic is still not there. This is immediately after the shooting.
We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my fucking neighbor.
And right there is the humanity of it all. And that's what they're trying to shut off. They're trying to close the well of that. It's my neighbor. These aren't just faceless people. Did they do something illegal? Sure. Was that worth a death sentence? God, no. And was that person's life in danger? No. What is wrong with you people? What are you doing? You need to be held accountable.
You caught butter in the fucking face. You killed my fucking neighbor. How do you show up to work every day? How the fuck do you do this every day? You're killing my neighbors. You're stealing my neighbors. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, man. So, these things are starting to really, really pile up, when it comes to U.S. policies and stuff. And stuff like this is why I think things have been shifting so heavily to socialism. And it's kind of funny because They can't make excuses for it anymore. Like right now, this is academics still trying to make excuses for what went on with this video. And I'll be honest with you, none of it's working. You can look down into his comment section. You should be canceled, bruh. That's murder, brother. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's one form. Nobody is above the law. I think this is talking about the cop. And then that says law is in motion as a deadly weapon. But obviously that can easily be debunked. The person was going away from the man. And this one I saw a little bit earlier, and I thought that this was very, very telling and very real, where it goes, audience, I want to put out a similar pattern. Your favorite streamer always uses, notice how every clip intentionally pauses at the exact time a different point of view is going to reveal something else. Knows exactly what he's doing. I knew before I watched this video was going to defend Trump because it benefits his status. Is not a fool. He knows exactly when to pause the video and spin narrative to his agenda. Not in hip hop, social events, etc. But shame, not in hip hop. So I think not just in hip hop, social events, etc. But shame on because the very people he defends to the core see him as less human. And this is very, very true. Right under it says the fact that you're trying to say she tried to hit him is crazy. Everyone has eyes, and he's another one who's been excusing this thing. And not just him, but a lot of different
feds are doing an operation locally. They'll team up with the local cops because number one, they don't have that much resources, but number two, there's no fed cars that's like that's like, oh, we all know that's the FBI car, so you can see also why this is a tense situation. So they're driving through. Now, I also want to tell y'all, I know people are hoping that police are not human, but when somebody, I don't care if they got on a bunch of armor, as long as they got a badge, and well, fuck the badge, as long as they got a pulse and a heart, they're human.
And I find this very funny that when you are talking in the context of immigrant people who are in fear of their lives, because a lot of people who have been detained have not been seen and they've been lost track of. The people protecting those immigrant people who are in danger for their lives, and the person who was literally shot in an altercation and unfortunately passed away. You're talking about their life as well, but instead you're sympathizing with the masked men over here that have been grabbing people off the street for the last 6 months. I find that very, very telling.
And if you know it, just like I know it, you hope when you get pulled over, you meet a cop that's in a good mood, that is forgiving, that is also understanding, and realizes his job is to serve and protect. But you might get pulled over by a guy.
But that's the issue. The fact that this person, these people, this culture is so bad at policing and barely ever wants to hold themselves accountable, so that when you get stopped, you're immediately in victim mode, and you have to hope that this abusive force, of people who are essentially hired to protect land and the rich, will not victimize you. That's the problem. That's the problem, and this is the issue that I feel with so many different people who are very conservative. I feel like they are conservative, sure. They do have their certain conservative views, but a lot of it is caked in bitterness and just thinking that things are shitty, so obey the shitty thing because things can never actually be better. And you're stupid for thinking that they ever could be better. And I feel like so many people are starting to just get tired of this. They're getting tired of people like academics saying that nothing can be done. They're getting tired of their uncle at Thanksgiving laughing and like, that's why you don't break the law. You know what I mean? Even though we all know breaking the law is not a death sentence. People are getting tired of weird, you know, dudes like Aiden Ross and shit like that, and different fucking rappers like Kanye West, you know, being so devoid of any real emotion outside of themselves that they can't understand why certain things are problematic. And I'm not somebody who's like a flowy pants, yoga, wellness, Brooklyn bro, okay? You know, listen, I'm not perfect. I have my own issues, right? But at the same time, you have to realize that a lot of this stuff it's a no-brainer. And the fact that these people don't see that is sort of an issue. And I think this is what's leading to a lot of the movement of most people, most swing voters, to the left. You know, we've seen for a long, long time that, you know, since I was born, there's been so much bad rhetoric around socialism and communism and anything that embraces the collective really in any sort of way. In America, it is public bad, private good, no matter what it is. That's just how it is, you know? And for the most part, I think when life was good, a lot of people believe those things and they're willing to invest in those things. Now we've gotten to this point where the economy is very, very bad. People are very, very angry. And every little scapegoat that they give you never seems to help any common people escape the situation that they are actually in. People aren't falling for it as much. That does mean the dial of propaganda is turned up to 11, you know, and they're just trying to cause noise so that you don't listen to the truth. But nonetheless, I think a lot of people are starting to wake up and see. And, you know, Hassan Abi was actually talking about this, and I kind of wanted to show this for a second.
Can we just talk about what it means for the state of the nation? Are we in danger here of losing our foot?
I think this should be a wake-up call for a lot of people, but I hope they don't wake up. The reason why I say it is this. It's not because of people like myself. As much as I would love to take credit for this, being like an avowed defender and supporter and advocate for socialism, it's only happening as a direct consequence of material conditions unwinding so hard for the average person that in spite of the negative framing of socialism for decades, in spite of the antagonistic feelings that people have or people have been taught to have about anything that is like social, not just socialism, but just any sort of like social safety net expansions are immediately shot down due to the fears that people have developed against it. The reason why they're still saying, it can't be so bad is because what's going on right now is that bad.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. You know, there are a lot of swing people who were fine with immigrants being gone. They weren't fine with immigrants being taken away in that way. You know what I mean? They're fine with things being maybe recalibrated in the government and looking into government spending. In fact, some of them applaud it. Even me, I was somebody who I don't applaud Elon Musk doing any of that, but the actual act of inspecting and auditing the government, great, but not in the way you're doing it. The way you're doing it is criminal, and it's not helping any of us. And, you know, for a long time, we are given this idea of like, wait, what we're doing isn't criminal. What those people over the ocean do is criminal. You don't want any of that. And it's like, well, they actually have healthcare and they have this and their society isn't perfect. But what if we have our society plus those things? Well, you know, it just would never work. And they kind of just keep you in this perpetual state of disbelief in any sort of collective bargaining and collective good that is beneficial to society. And I think people are just done with it.
In a country as heavily propagandized against socialism, when you have younger generations saying, maybe this socialism stuff is good, at the heart of empire and the imperial core, are you kidding me?
And that's another thing too. It's like, you know, America used to be at this point where it's doing really, really well. And it's a lot easier to be a vicious capitalist when everyone has money in their pockets. When it starts to get to the point that you can't afford groceries, your kid can, you know, you can barely afford to pay for your kid's college tuition, it makes it a lot easier for people to understand that billionaires might not be the best people.